This other website, it is beforeitsnews.com, and they're announcing a international network of lawyers, and Dr. Reiner Fulmick will argue the biggest tort case in the world. So from my perspective, I don't think they'll be successful. And there's a real reason why I don't think they'll be successful. They may come to a standstill, just like I did. And I was talking about how I came into this by all the challenges we made against the government. Those challenges occurred because the government stepped into Cayman Islands and snatched $300 million from a program that we were involved in called Cash for Titles. And 600,000 of that was ours. And it's a real bad day when you get a phone call that says 600,000 just disappeared, because the United States government went into Cayman Islands and snatched it. And I want to go back to this article. These attorneys, in my opinion, will fail, because it's one thing to state a tort claim and they're saying this is the biggest tort. And our conclusion after going through all the courts we went through, federal court and Supreme Court, 21 of us filed a lawsuit against the IRS for tort. We did all of that because if you look at the Declaration of Independence, everything that's written in there, the king did this, king did this, king did this, it's all called tort. It's a tort claim. But looking at the Declaration of Independence that the founders of the USA did, meaning they did it for themselves and their posterity, not everybody else. And it was routinely known that indentured servants had no rights whatsoever. The nobility could beat them with rakes, chain them to a tree, starve them to death, kill them, and no repercussions to the nobility or any of the merchants who had indentured servants. So you don't found nation states for your indentured servants. And in the law of nations, it says that once you reach the age of discretion, if you don't find it advantageous to remain within the society you were destined by birth, then you're at liberty to quit it. Quitting it is the solution, and then forming up something new, becoming a part of something new, if you don't find it advantageous. Back in 1999 and 2000, that's when I started finding it not advantageous, because I didn't like where people were taking my energy in the form of taxation and putting it out here in the world and putting sanctions to starve kids and fight wars to kill a pregnant 21-year-old girl who didn't want to do anything other than have a baby and have a family. So what that's going to mean as far as tort, we came up with this way back in around 2009. The only way you get to file the tort claim is if you're on your way out the door. Because if you're calling fraud on it, if you're calling this a tort, how are you going to remain in it and not be complicit with it? I know that a lot of people here maybe even haven't heard the term self-determination. It's in Article 1, Paragraph 2 in the UN Charter. It's also in Article 55. It's in many of the resolutions, General Assembly Resolution 2625, 1514, 1541, and Manila Declaration on Peaceful Settlement of Disputes, because self-determination has become the agreed mechanism for peaceful settlement. If you don't like it, you don't like daddy's house anymore, you don't like the daddy state, then you can get out. So in my writings that I've done recently and revamping some of the points and authorities I've done in the past for this, self-determination is the ultimate partnership. It is the ultimate joint venture to build a community and come out of the matrix systems that you claim that you despise by creating a new society, a new societal system based on universal principles, international law, and natural law as applied to communities and societies. And they will follow the universal law because they are bound to it by the fact that they used it. It is why they have to give priority notice beforehand. If you haven't noticed, they kind of do that in movies like this is Endgame, Avengers Endgame. They also put out the movie V for Vendetta, which in 2008 looks exactly like everything that's occurring right now, especially in Britain because they're under 10 o'clock curfew over there. And that was what was implemented in V for Vendetta. They must follow the Pacta Sunt Servanda rule. Pacta Sunt Servanda means all agreements must be kept, and they will follow it. And if you're thinking that this is not going to work, building something new, then your alternative is war, which you already know never works. So go ahead and pick up your shotgun and your AR-15 and bring it to a drone fight and see where that gets you. When the smoke clears, even if you win, you're still going to be using the same universal principles to build it all back. Except now, if you're the one in charge, the planet has to worry about you becoming the next tyrant because you became a warlord just like all the others before you, and everyone already knows that your first recourse was to war and not to education about how these principles actually work. So I can look at this Before It's News, and the attorney here does a 49-minute presentation on what this team of lawyers is going to do. And I still think unless they get out of the system, creating something new, that this lawsuit will not work. It's a tort claim. It worked at the Nuremberg trials, but I'm not banking on it. I'm going to put my bet already down on self-determination and building something new coming out of it and getting recognition for doing so and operating under state equality, where if you're holding a position in the state, then you become immune from the arbitrary powers of other states, even if you're on their land. You know, as a dignitary and an ambassador, the U.S. in 2006, after I did this, and I sent them a declaration of peace and reconciliation as ambassador for the Dominion Melchizedek, they have not bothered me at all. And this was after they had agents showing up, basically letting me know I was going to go away. So those German attorneys are now going to go after corporations and, quote, go after the government. And they're trying to claim crimes against humanity. And I get it. But the Nuremberg trials were brought by nations, not by private attorneys. Those private attorneys are citizens of the nation state. So even if they win for a citizen of the state, who's paying the bill? Oh, they are the same citizens? They just sued themselves ultimately? They may end up getting a little more money out of it due to offsetting, adjusting the damage claims or whatever, but those court cases are going to end up being tacked onto the national debt. So,
if you're enjoying the content on this channel, don't forget to subscribe, like, and hit that bell icon so that you don't miss any future updates. We live in a world now where propaganda and censorship are the rule of the day. YouTube presentations, Facebook presentations, or any other presentation will not have completed information. If you'd like to see a complete interview, plus more content like this, then please subscribe to my Patreon, David Williams Unleashed, and then check out our membership site, Get Out of the System, because you can't get out of this system until you get the system out of you. Thanks for watching.